Life can feel like a battlefield. The unexpected strikes, losses arrive without warning, and chaos always seems to be lurking. But what if I told you that none of it can truly affect you, unless you allow it to? Take a deep breath and think, how many times have you felt trapped in anxiety, overwhelmed by fear of the future, weighed down by the feeling that everything is out of your control? Your mind racing, your chest tight, that corrosive question echoing in your head. What if I can't handle this? But what if the real answer isn't in what happens to you, but in how you interpret and respond to it? The great sages of history endured unimaginable crises. They lost everything. They were betrayed, humiliated, attacked, and yet they remained steady. What did they know that we don't? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it, and how you can do the same. You'll understand why most people crumble in the face of adversity, while others rise stronger, steadier, and even transformed. And more importantly, at the end of this video, I'll reveal the most powerful technique the Stoics used to stay unshaken in any situation. It's a simple exercise, but so deep, it can completely shift how you face life's challenges. So hit subscribe now, because this is just the beginning of a journey that can change everything for you. Let's dive in. Number 1. What's really within your control? Have you noticed how much energy we waste trying to change things that are completely outside our control? We worry about what others think, what might happen tomorrow, about past situations that can't be changed. And most of the time we end up frustrated, powerless, as if we're fighting a battle we can never win. But what if I told you there's a way to stop this pointless fight? The Stoics taught us one of the most liberating lessons anyone can learn, the distinction between what is and what isn't under our control. It might sound obvious at first, but the truth is, most people never apply it. They try to control the uncontrollable while ignoring what's actually within their reach. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinion about them." Think about that for a moment. Events themselves have no meaning. What makes events good or bad is the way we interpret them, and that interpretation is 100% within our control. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for an important appointment. You have two choices. The first is to get angry, slam the steering wheel, curse at other drivers, and arrive at your destination stressed, drained, and in a terrible mood. The second is to accept that traffic is something you cannot control, put on some calming music, and use the time to reflect or even learn something new by listening to a podcast. The traffic is exactly the same in both scenarios. But your reaction changes everything. This applies to every situation in life. You can't control what people say about you, but you can control how you respond. You can't prevent difficulties from happening, but you can choose to face them with calm instead of despair. You can't change the past, but you can decide how you act in the present. So, what is truly within your control? The answer is simple: your thoughts, your actions, and your choices. You can decide what to think about a problem. You can choose how to respond to criticism. You can determine whether to focus on what you can do or waste time complaining about what you can't change. And when you start directing your energy only toward what is truly within your reach, something powerful happens. You feel lighter, calmer, and much stronger. But most people don't realize this. They live trying to control the uncontrollable. They want others to approve of them. They want the world to work the way they believe it should. And when reality doesn't match their expectations, they suffer. Now let me ask you, how many times have you wasted time and energy trying to change something completely outside your control? Maybe it was an argument where you desperately wanted the other person to see things your way. Maybe it was a missed opportunity you kept replaying in your mind, as if that could change the past. Or maybe it was that anxiety about the future, that urge to predict and control what hasn't even happened yet. What did you gain from it? Probably nothing but emotional exhaustion and frustration. Now imagine how your life would be if, starting today, you made one simple decision: to focus only on what is within your control. If someone speaks badly about you, instead of trying to convince them otherwise, you simply move on with your life because you know their opinion does not define who you are. If a plan doesn't turn out the way you expected, instead of lamenting, you think, "What can I do now?" If an obstacle appears, instead of panicking, you choose to see it as a challenge to be overcome. This doesn't mean being indifferent or passive. On the contrary, it means focusing your energy on what can truly bring about real change. This is the true Stoic freedom, the freedom of no longer being a prisoner of external circumstances. So, starting now, try a small exercise. Think of something that's worrying you right now. Now ask yourself, is this really within my control? If the answer is yes, act. Do what is within your power. If the answer is no, then let it go. Stop worrying. Don't waste your peace on something you cannot change. The Stoics discovered that this simple understanding could completely transform the way we face life. And you? Will you keep trying to control what is beyond your reach, or will you finally focus your energy where it can truly make a difference? Number 2. The power of perception. You decide what a crisis means. Life is a constant flow of unpredictable events. Some situations make us smile, while others challenge us to our very core. But do these challenges inherently carry meaning, or are we the ones who give them meaning? The Stoics had a clear answer to this question. Reality itself is neutral. What defines whether something is good or bad is not the event itself, but our interpretation of it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest philosopher-emperors in history, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." This sentence holds one of the greatest secrets to overcoming any crisis. What happens to you does not determine your life. It is how you interpret these events that shapes everything. Imagine two people who lose their jobs on the same day. The first falls into despair. They feel wronged, incapable, and hopeless. They spend weeks lamenting, trapped in fear of the future. The second sees the same event differently. They view the dismissal as an opportunity to grow. Think about it. Maybe this is the push you needed to pursue something better. Instead of lamenting, they use the time to learn new skills, expand their network, and even consider new possibilities that once seemed out of reach. The event is the same, the loss of a job, but the way each person chose to interpret the situation completely changed the outcome of that experience in their lives. This ability to reinterpret crises is not some special gift reserved for a few. It's a habit that can be cultivated. And when we learn how to do it, we gain control over how every hardship affects us. The Stoics called this practice cognitive reframing. It means training your mind to view every situation from a different perspective, in a way that strengthens you rather than weakens you. To illustrate this, let's talk about a real story of someone who turned a moment of crisis into a turning point in their life. During World War II, Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist, was sent to a Nazi concentration camp. He lost everything: his wife, his family, his freedom. In any logical scenario, this should have been the end of hope, but he realized something that completely changed how he faced the situation. He noticed that although the guards could take away his food, his dignity, and even his health, there was one thing they could never steal: his choice of how to interpret the experience. He decided that within his own mind, he would remain free. He would not let himself be consumed by despair. Instead, he began to study the prisoners around him. He observed that those who found meaning in their suffering had a much greater chance of surviving. Frankl survived, and after the war, wrote one of the most impactful books in history, Man's Search for Meaning, the central idea of the work. We do not choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we face any situation. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius meant. Pain does not come from what happens, but from the way we decide to view what happens. And you? How have you been interpreting the challenges in your life? When a problem arises, the first natural reaction might be to ask yourself, why is this happening to me? But what if you change the question? Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or rather, is this truly a problem or a disguised opportunity? The human brain is a pattern-finding machine. If you constantly see yourself as a victim of circumstances, your mind will seek confirmation for that belief. But if you decide that every crisis carries a hidden lesson, your brain will start looking for those lessons, and your way of reacting to life will change completely. And this shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a mental training. But believe me, the more you practice this new way of looking at challenges, the more naturally this ability will become a part of you. Now I invite you to a challenge. Think of a difficult moment you experienced recently, something that caused you worry, stress, or sadness. Now ask yourself, is there a different way to view this situation? Maybe, in the heat of the moment, it was impossible to see anything positive. But now, looking back, is there something you learned? Something that made you stronger? Some opportunity that emerged from that difficulty? If the answer is yes, then you have already begun practicing cognitive reframing. The truth is that most of the time, the events we perceive as crises are not the end of the road. They are doors opening to new possibilities if we are willing to see them that way. The big question is, will you continue seeing hardships as insurmountable obstacles? Or will you train your mind to find growth in every challenge? Remember, what happens to you is neutral. You are the one who assigns meaning, and that meaning can change everything. Number 3. The exercise of premeditation. How to prepare for any adversity. Life is far from predictable. The unexpected happens, plans fail, relationships end, losses appear without warning. But what if there were a way to prepare for these difficulties before they even occur? The Stoics believed there was. For them, the worst thing someone could do was to live as if hardships would never come. Those who fool themselves into thinking life will always go according to plan will be crushed by the first major setback. And this is where one of the most powerful exercises of Stoicism comes in: Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. This exercise consists of imagining before it happens everything that could go wrong in your life, but not as a way to be pessimistic or to feed anxiety. On the contrary, to train your mind to face any situation with calm, without panic, and without despair. Seneca once said, "He who anticipates adversity triumphs over it before it arrives." What did he mean by this? If you mentally rehearse the challenges you might face, your mind won't be caught off guard when they actually happen. You will have already processed the possibility of pain, and thus it loses its power to destroy you. Imagine two fighters about to enter the ring. One has spent months training, studying his opponent, simulating different strikes, and learning how to absorb hits. The other, however, has never taken a punch in his life. When the fight begins, who do you think will handle the blows better? The same logic applies to life. Those who mentally prepare for potential hardships already have the emotional structure to endure them when they come. Now think about your life today. If tomorrow you lost your job, how would you react? If you lost a loved one? If a health problem appeared? If just thinking about these possibilities causes you panic, it means you haven't yet trained your mind to accept that they could happen. But here's the key point of the exercise. It's not about wishing for the worst, but about strengthening yourself so that if it happens, you are ready. So let's put this into practice right now. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a difficult scenario. It could be losing your job, the end of a relationship, or even facing a financial crisis. Feel the initial impact. Now take a deep breath and ask yourself, if this happened, what could I do to adapt? What resources do I already have to face this situation? What can I learn or strengthen now to handle it better in the future? You'll realize that no matter how frightening a problem seems, it is never truly impossible to overcome. Most of the time, the fear of pain is much greater than the pain itself. Our panic comes from surprise, from the illusion that hardships shouldn't happen. But when you train your mind to accept that the unexpected is a part of life, something inside you changes. The Stoics practiced this exercise daily. They would imagine themselves without their material possessions, without their social standing, without their health. And by doing so, they developed a resilient mindset. A classic example is Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, who would voluntarily spend a few days each month sleeping on the floor and wearing simple clothes. He didn't do this out of necessity, but to prove to himself that if one day he lost everything, he would know how to live with less. You can do something similar. If you fear losing money, spend a month intentionally living on a reduced budget. If you fear loneliness, spend a few days without seeking validation from others. If you fear failure, expose yourself to small challenges where you might fail without major consequences. Each of these experiences does not weaken you, it prepares you. The truth is, pain will come sooner or later. But what separates those who crumble from those who keep moving forward is mental preparation. So the next time uncertainty knocks on your door, remember, what destroys you is not adversity itself, but your lack of preparation for it. Train your mind today so that nothing can shake you tomorrow. Number 4. How to find calm in chaos. The practice of radical acceptance. Life rarely unfolds according to our plans. Even when everything seems under control, a single event can turn everything upside down. An unexpected health problem, a financial crisis, the end of a relationship, a deep disappointment. What do we do in the face of it? Many people fall into denial. They refuse to accept reality and get stuck in the what-ifs. What if I had done something differently? What if this hadn't happened to me? This kind of thinking is not only unproductive, it also increases the pain because it keeps us trapped in something that cannot be changed. The Stoics, however, teach us a completely different approach: to accept and even love everything that happens. This philosophy is called amor fati, which means love of fate. And here's the key difference between this mindset and simple resignation. Amor fati is not just about accepting what happens, but seeing every event as something necessary for our growth. Stoicism teaches us that life is not against us. Challenges are not punishments, they are tests that strengthen us. Just as a blacksmith shapes iron through fire and hammering, life shapes our character through difficulties, the trap of resisting the inevitable. The problem isn't adversity itself, but how we react to it. Seneca wrote, "Welcome with open arms whatever fortune sends." For what could be more foolish than to rail at circumstances you cannot change? What did he mean by this? Imagine you're out at sea and suddenly a storm begins. You can react in two ways. You can despair, fight against the waves, try to row against the current, scream, complain that this shouldn't be happening. But none of that will stop the storm. On the contrary, it will only drain you even more. Or you can accept that the storm is there. Adjust your sails, observe the wind, and navigate the best way possible until the sea calms. The storm is the same in both cases. The difference lies in how you choose to face it. And it's the same with any crisis. Resisting what has already happened only amplifies the suffering. How many times have you gone through something difficult and kept dwelling on the past, as if you could turn back time and change things? How many sleepless nights because your mind refused to accept something that was already out of your control? This is a natural human behavior, but it doesn't have to be that way. The key to peace lies in radical acceptance, the wisdom of accepting what cannot be changed. Acceptance doesn't mean being passive or giving up. Many people confuse acceptance with resignation, but in reality, it's exactly the opposite. Acceptance means recognizing reality and, from there, acting in a more rational and effective way. Here's a real-life example. During his reign, Marcus Aurelius faced countless crises: wars, plagues, political betrayals. He could have rebelled against his difficulties and questioned why fate had placed such a heavy burden on his shoulders. But instead he wrote in his meditations, "Do not wish for things to happen as you want them to. Wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." That's amor fati. He didn't waste time complaining. He acted within what was under his control, accepting that each event had a purpose and you can do the same. Practical strategy: how to apply radical acceptance in your daily life. Now you might be asking, but how do I actually do this? Here's a simple but extremely powerful exercise. When something outside your control happens, instead of resisting, say to yourself, "I accept it. Now what can I do with this?" This creates a new mental pattern. Instead of getting lost in complaints, you train your brain to act with clarity and purpose. Let's apply this to different scenarios. If you lose your job, instead of panicking, take a deep breath and think, "I accept it. Now, how can I turn this into a new opportunity?" If a relationship ends, instead of resisting change, ask yourself, "I accept it. Now, how can I grow from this?" If a financial problem arises, instead of freezing in fear, think, "I accept it. Now, how can I solve this in the best way possible?" This exercise doesn't erase the pain, but it does eliminate unnecessary suffering. The sooner you accept, the sooner you find clarity. There's a very simple principle that can transform your life. The faster you accept a situation, the faster you can act rationally and effectively to overcome it. Think about the moments when something went wrong in your life. Once you stopped resisting reality and accepted the situation, didn't everything become clearer? Acceptance puts you in a state of readiness. It frees you from emotional paralysis and gives you the focus needed to find a solution. And here's the most fascinating part. The more you practice acceptance, the calmer you become. Over time, crises that used to consume you will be met with composure. You begin to see patterns, to understand that everything eventually passes. A new way of living. Now imagine how your life would be if you truly embraced this principle. Imagine waking up every day with the certainty that nothing can shake you because you accept everything as part of your journey. Imagine the freedom of no longer having to fight against what can't be changed. Imagine the peace that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you'll be ready to face it with your head held high. That is the power of amor fati. And the choice is yours. Continue resisting the inevitable, or accept life as it is and find strength in that acceptance. Because once you stop fighting reality, you discover a calm that nothing can destroy. Number 5. Becoming anti-fragile. Turning pain into strength. Life tests all of us. Some people break under pressure, others remain firm. But there is a third kind of person. Someone who doesn't just endure adversity, but actually becomes stronger because of it. This is the concept of anti-fragility, a term coined by author and mathematician Nassim Taleb. He explains that there are 3 types of people when faced with chaos and uncertainty. 1. The fragile. They break when life gets hard. 2. The resilient. They endure pain but don't necessarily grow from it. 3. The anti-fragile. They use chaos as a catalyst to become even stronger. If resilience means enduring the storm without breaking, anti-fragility means emerging from the storm more powerful than before. The Stoics spoke of this long before Taleb gave it a name. They believed adversity wasn't a punishment, but a test, an opportunity to become better. Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, and adversity tests the brave." And this metaphor couldn't be more accurate. Raw gold must pass through fire to become pure. Steel is forged under pressure to gain its strength. Muscles only grow when pushed against resistance. Your mind works the same way. Without challenges, it weakens. Without pain, there is no growth. The fragile mindset mistake. Many people believe life should be easy. They avoid discomfort at all costs, shy away from challenges, and shield themselves from frustration. But this relentless pursuit of comfort has a dangerous side effect. It makes people fragile. Think about it. What happens to someone who's never faced hardship, who's always been protected from struggle? That person may appear strong on the surface, but the moment a real obstacle appears, they crumble. They're like a glass cup, elegant but easy to shatter. Now think of bamboo. It bends with strong wind, but it doesn't break. In fact, after the storm, it stands even taller. So the big question is, do you want to be the glass or the bamboo? If you want to be anti-fragile, you need to change how you view pain and struggle, how crises can become sources of growth. Pain is never pleasant, but if used wisely, it can become a powerful teacher. Think about the hardships you faced. Surely some felt unbearable at the time, but now, looking back, how many of those moments shaped who you are today? Maybe it was a failure that taught you a valuable lesson. Maybe it was a betrayal that made you more discerning about the people around you. Maybe it was a loss that helped you cherish life and those you love even more. Whatever the situation, crises always bring an opportunity for growth, if you choose to learn from them. Here's the difference between an average person and someone who's anti-fragile. The average person sees pain as an obstacle. The anti-fragile sees pain as a stepping stone to rise even higher. That shift in perspective changes everything. Picture an elite athlete. They go through grueling training sessions, push through injuries, and live with constant discomfort. But they understand this pain is part of the process of becoming better. They don't resist the difficulty, they use it as fuel. The same applies to life. Challenges are your training ground, training your mind to become anti-fragile. The good news? Anti-fragility can be cultivated. You can train your mind to see obstacles differently, to turn pain into power. Here are 3 Stoic practices to help you develop that mindset. 1. Redefine the meaning of pain. Every time you go through something difficult, pause and ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? That single question changes your lens. Instead of seeing a problem as a punishment, you start to see it as a teacher. Every crisis carries a lesson. It's your responsibility to uncover it. 2. Seek discomfort on purpose. If you want to become strong, you can't avoid discomfort. You have to willingly put yourself in challenging situations to train your mind and body. The Stoics practiced this constantly. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would occasionally sleep on the floor and eat only bread and water, not because he had to, but to prove to himself that he could endure a simpler life if necessary. That way, if adversity came, he'd already be prepared. You can do the same. Small daily challenges strengthen your mind. Take a cold shower to train discomfort. Spend time alone to build emotional independence. Have uncomfortable conversations to grow social resilience. Each of these small acts conditions your mind for greater challenges ahead. 3. Remember, nothing is permanent. The pain you're feeling today won't last forever. No crisis is eternal. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Adversity is temporary, but the character built from it is lasting." And that's what truly matters. Every difficulty gives you a choice: grow stronger or shrink. If you choose to grow stronger, every crisis becomes a stepping stone. You learn to use adversity as leverage to become the best version of yourself. Every challenge can either break you or build you. The choice is yours. Now take a look at your own life. Think of a difficult situation you're facing right now. It may seem unbearable, but ask yourself, if I choose to see this as a challenge to grow, how can this experience make me stronger? You can complain, or you can learn. You can play the victim, or you can become wiser. You can break, or you can transform. The choice is yours. And if there's one thing the Stoics teach us, it's that life isn't about avoiding pain. It's about using it as a springboard to become unshakable. Number 6. The final step and the most powerful technique to overcome any crisis. We've reached the end of this journey, but what we've covered has the power to completely transform the way you face life. We talked about what's truly within your control and how focusing on that is the fastest path to inner peace. We explored the power of perception and how the way we interpret a crisis determines whether it breaks us or builds us. We saw how the Stoics prepared for adversity through Premeditatio Malorum, a mental rehearsal that softens the blow of the unexpected. We reflected on amor fati, the radical acceptance of everything life brings, and how that mindset brings serenity amid chaos. We also explored anti-fragility and how those who use pain as fuel emerge stronger than before. But there's one final teaching, the most powerful of all, that can shift your entire perspective on any crisis. The practice of memento mori. Memento mori, the truth that puts everything into perspective. Most people live as if they're immortal. They delay decisions, obsess over petty problems, and let fear keep them stuck. But the Stoics had a constant reminder: life is temporary, and time is our most precious resource. Memento mori means remember that you will die. And this isn't meant to create fear, but to ignite urgency and clarity about what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do, say, and think. When you remember that your time is limited, the problems that once felt massive become small. The opinions of others lose their weight. Daily frustrations fade in the presence of life's greater meaning. Think about the moments when you faced something truly serious, maybe a life-threatening situation, an illness, or the loss of someone close. In those moments, all the trivial things fade away. What remains is only what truly matters: how we're living our lives and whether we're making the most of the time we have. The Stoics practiced this reflection daily. They didn't contemplate death as something tragic, but as a reminder to live with purpose. You can do the same. How to apply memento mori in your life. Here's a simple but incredibly powerful exercise. 1. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that today is your last day alive. What would truly matter to you? What worries would seem irrelevant? What would you do differently if you knew your time was running out? 2. Now open your eyes and realize this: the time you have today is real. The opportunities in front of you might not be there tomorrow. You have a choice to live with fear or with courage, with regret or with purpose. 3. Whenever you're facing a problem, ask yourself, if I knew I had only 1 year left to live, would I still spend time worrying about this? Does this problem really matter in the grand scheme of things? Am I living in a way that, if it all ended tomorrow, I'd feel it was worth it? This simple reminder changes everything. It puts every challenge into perspective and forces us to focus on what actually has value. When you embrace life's impermanence, You stop clinging to fear and start acting with clarity, courage, and gratitude. Nothing can shake you if you're ready to live like a Stoic. The Stoics never believed that wisdom was something to admire in books. They knew real transformation starts when you live what you learn. And now, it's your turn. If this message stirred something inside you, a discomfort, a sense of clarity, a push to act, don't ignore it. Leave a like right now. It's not just a simple gesture. It's a signal that you understand the power of this message. And even more, the more people interact, the more this message will reach someone else who might be stuck and waiting for this exact shift. Don't stay on the sidelines of this movement. If you feel it's time to stop being ruled by chaos and start acting with clarity, subscribe to the channel right now. Here, we're building a select community of people who refuse to live on autopilot, people who choose courage over anxiety, action over complaining. If you want to be among those who are truly evolving, this is your place. And before you leave, do something that few have the courage to do. Make a public commitment to your mental strength. Type in the comments, "Nothing can affect me." That phrase is your decision. Those who write, declare. Those who declare, take a stand. And those who take a stand, change their lives. From today on, you will no longer be dragged by circumstances. From today on, you won't hide behind fear. From today on, you'll be guided by your principles, not by chaos. Now go. Start living as someone who didn't just hear this message, but chose to live by it. I'll see you in the next video, stronger than ever.